Welcome to Tips from Trestle. This podcast is dedicated to discussing the senior living industry with a unique focus on food, hospitality, and leadership. I'm your host, Aaron Fish. As a 25-year veteran of the hospitality industry, I've focused my work on creating exceptional experiences for the customers we serve. My goal for this podcast? Educate, inform, and inspire leaders in senior living to bring food and hospitality to the front of mind in our industry. Let's bring the innovative and passionate spirit of hospitality to everything that we do for the residents, families, guests, and employees we serve each and every day. So what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. Joining me today on Tips from Trestle is Greg Gorgone. Greg is the co-founder of Pineapple Academy, an online training portal. Greg is a graduate and former chef instructor of Johnson & Wales University with over 35 years of experience in food service and hospitality management. With a successful track record in the restaurant and hospitality industry, Greg has brought his unique insights and leadership style to the healthcare industry to deliver a more patient-centered, culinary-driven experience while still keeping careful focus on financial objectives and resident-patient satisfaction. During the initial stages of his career, Greg quickly transitioned from executive chef to restaurant and hotel general management, hospitality, and restaurant development. Energized by the changes in healthcare food service, Greg has been helping transform senior living communities and hospitals into a more hospitality-based food service model. Greg has developed and implemented operational policy and procedures for all types and sizes of operation. In addition to his operational experience, Greg has managed concept development projects, kitchen design, and grand openings for hotels, restaurants, QSRs, and healthcare operations. Greg has been a speaker and presenter at regional and national conferences for the Association of Food and Nutrition Professionals, the Association of Healthcare Food Service, the Missouri Healthcare Association, the Tennessee Healthcare Association, distributor partner events, and DMA's Good to Best conference, as well as the Alumni Association at Johnson & Wales University. Greg, thank you for joining me today on Tips from Trestle.
Thanks, Aaron. It's good to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Full disclosure, we are working together. My company, Trestle Hospitality and Pineapple Academy, have an affiliate agreement. But I wanted to talk with you today about your approach to training because it drew me to you guys because of the way you approach it. It's a little bit different than some of the other online training modules and tools that are out there. And so can you kind of let the listeners know, give them a brief overview, what exactly does Pineapple Academy do?
Sure. So I'm gonna give you a little history first and kind of take you to why pineapple. And so and it was funny, you're reading my bio and I need to update it now because it's over 40 years. So I'm feeling very old right now after I heard all that. So it's like, oh my goodness. So, but the truth of the matter is, I have been in hospitality and food service for over 40 years. And I would say 70% of that has been specifically in operations. And so I've had the pleasure of leading a lot of groups and a lot of different types of organizations with successful hospitality and food service programs. And I've been very, very fortunate working with some great mentors and people who I've learned a lot from over the years and helps me grow my skill sets and it's helped me, grow my knowledge base. But I've done a lot of in-person training. I've developed, training programs, particularly for culinary and food service staff in hotels and in restaurants. I actually became a chef instructor for Johnson & Wales for several years. For 4 years, I taught at the Charleston campus. So I got to learn, how to build a curriculum and what all of that entailed, which was awesome. I mean, that was probably one of the funnest jobs I've ever had, is actually just being in a lab, with students of ages from 18 to 35 to 40, because I also did the advanced program at Johnson & Wales during the summer times, where it was mostly people that were in their, later 20s and 30s who were looking for career changes or whatnot. And so I've been able to work with a lot of different people that way and learn about what works best for training. So then fast forward, I start working in the hospital space, and you start seeing, a whole different set of skill sets, or lack of, I should say, coming from the hotel industry. When
Yeah.
you're in the hotel industry, the skill sets, at least back then when I was in it, are a bit higher, particularly the higher end properties. You have people that, went to culinary school, went to hospitality school, graduates of Cornell, graduates of the University of Florida programs, all these noted, schools, and have worked in some great, whether it be Four Seasons or, Ritz-Carlton, all these different type of brands that really spend the time to train their people. And so when you experience those type of hotel experiences, that's the secret sauce, folks. It's nothing, it's training and knowledge.
Training,
It's
training,
it's
training.
training. So I
Yeah.
mean, that is the secret sauce. Now, fast forward, I go into hospitals, and what do you see? You see there are some culinary graduates, granted, that are out there in healthcare. But you see a lot of people who have only worked in healthcare. They've never been outside of it. So they know what they know, and they've never been outside of that space. And so the clinical side of food service in hospitals and senior living has really pushed their agenda or their processes for decades, because it was more of a registered dietitian type role.
Yeah.
Well, in today's market, it's not only the registered dietitian, but it's also the culinary arts or the hospitality expert, because
Well, the
as we
expectation
know,
has changed.
it's totally changed. And so what the need is today is to get people up to speed and give them the skill sets they need in food service and hospitality as quickly as possible, so that hospitals and senior living can deliver great food and service to their residents and their customers and their patients. And so it's a very important piece of the business as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
From a marketing and positioning and patient resident satisfaction, there's nothing you can do to move the needle quicker, easier, and faster than give them great food and service to your residents and your patients, to see those scores go way up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, the why behind Pineapple is that I saw the same type of lower skill sets across the country, whether as in Hawaii, Alaska, or in Florida, or in the Midwest. Skill sets are where they're at. And so I became a consultant. I traveled around the country, and I did in-person training, which is awesome. I loved it. But the thing you realize, you can only touch so many people doing that, and there's turnover. So what's the solution? Online is in basically having permanent training that's assigned and tracked, so that people have learning tracks to get them to where they're at. Whether they start day one as a pot washer, or a prep cook, a supervisor, or a server in a dining room, all those are skill sets. These are things that people should know, and they have to know, particularly from a regulatory point of view. It's not just about hand washing and HIPAA. If you really understand what the Centers for Medicaid, Medicare, and Joint Commission, what they're looking for an experience, a food service experience for the residents' patients. It's not just about regulatory compliance. It's about how well is the food prepared? How is it plated, presented? Is it respectful to the residents? Is it respectful to the patients? Do they have free will? I mean, are the residents getting what they're asking for? Are the patients able to get what they're asking for? So it's very much, person-centered type activity. And so when you see the amount of knowledge that needs to be given and the train, the only way you really can do it and scale it is online. And so we hatched 4 years ago the Pineapple Academy. My business partner, Tucker Graves, and I, we, from similar type viewpoints, from a different angles coming at this business, we recognize the same problem. And with him, it was the lack of knife skills. With me, it was a little bit more, but he saw that early on in his career. It's like, heck, some of these people don't even know how to use a knife correctly. And it's like, yeah, that's the problem.
No, I remember as an operator, I mean, you bring up knife skills. I remember as an operator, we were doing our own kind of in-house training videos, and it takes a lot of time. And really, one of the first places we started was with knife skills. I pulled a regional chef in, and we just, here are the different knives. Here are the different.
That's right.
You know, being able to take something like that and see the value of the training and putting it online, I mean, it kind of is can be astounding to think that that's a place where you would need to start, but
Right.
definitely needed in our industry. So, what one of the things that kind of drew me to Pineapple was the approach you guys take to it,
Yeah.
and the way I think you guys describe it is micro learning.
Yes.
So, kind of talk to us as to why you took the micro learning approach with how you do things versus some of the other competitors out there.
Sure. So, if you really take a look at the landscape out there and what people are attracted to, what they're doing, it's technology. You know, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. These are all short bursts of information. And if you look at the average length of music as an example, a song, I mean, it's something like it's somewhere around 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely studies out there, and you can look them up. The science behind micro learning. But if you are hitting 5 minutes or less in a video presentation with one subject, it's not like we squeeze a whole bunch of information into 5 minutes. It's like we talk about one thing, and then move on to the next. If it's only a minute, then fine. If it's just a minute, it's a minute. But if it's 5 minutes, it's 5. But it's one subject.
Yeah.
And so that way, the learner can use their smartphone, a tablet, any device, and at their own pace, they can go through this. And the retention, when you watch a video and listen to it, the retention level goes way up exponentially, like 80% retention levels, and as opposed to, following a guy around and trying to learn on the job and kind of fumbling around with that, or looking at a PowerPoint or trying to read a book or something like that, or some unbelievably long video. I mean, one of the things that we get feedback all the time, and I'm not going to mention names, but there's content that's out there that many food service workers are aware of. And these are very long, 30, 45 minutes to an hour videos. And it's like nobody can get through these things anymore. It's like the attention span just isn't there. And it's just this droning on. And it's just not very effective to deliver that. And so when you go to take the quiz or the test afterwards, or you talk to them, it's like or a week later, you ask them, they don't remember any of it. Yeah. All they were trying to do is do the test to pass. Well, when you use micro learning, suddenly people are like, oh, this is kind of fun. And it's like, it makes learning enjoyable because we're not giving you fluff. We're giving you tools and showing you how to do your job. And so, there we are out there, sweeping and cleaning around a dumpster and showing you how to clean the dumpster and why you do it, or the loading dock, or the walk-ins. I mean, it's real life. What goes on every day in a commercial kitchen. We try to show you pertinent things and not fill it with information that you don't need right now. And we build it what's called a gradient approach to learning. So we give you fundamentals first, how to wash produce and your knife skills. Those are fundamentals. Yeah. That's where you go from the pot washer to being a prep cook, is when you learn how to wash the produce and cut it. Now you're a prep cook, and then go from that. And then we show you how to saute and grill. Now starting to learn how to cook. So it's this progression of knowledge and information, so that on the job you can move up in the organization by doing these trainings.
The other piece of that I find so valuable is maybe it doesn't take the first time, and having the ability to go back, and it's not going to take me 30 minutes and take me away from my station. I can pull my phone out, or I can grab a tablet. I can literally tap my station, go back and look at, how do I use that knife?
That's right.
How do I do this task? And it's almost like you fill that kind of downtime with the ability to do this micro learning, this micro training, which brings way more value to the day than having somebody sit in a classroom for 4 hours and watch a bunch of videos.
Right. We call that teachable moments, right? So you're walking through the kitchen and you see something that isn't quite the way it needs to be. And you don't have to embarrass anybody and be the old school chef, go, no, throw pans and stuff. No, that stuff doesn't work. I mean, it's just not the world we live in. And so now you can just stop. You can do one of two things. You can just go back to your computer and assign that to somebody and just say, hey, look, Aaron, I need you to watch this video again, please, and report compliance on that, and we'll have a conversation about it. Or like you just said, stop in the middle of the kitchen. You can even bring everybody, hey guys, we're gonna have a teachable moment here. Throw on the TV screen, watch a video to talk about it. Takes 5 minutes, everybody moves on, but everybody got that same message. And what's great about micro learning and online learning, everybody's hearing and seeing the exact same thing. So it's not the person who's been around for 20 years, teaching you and missing a bunch of stuff, or giving you and sometimes maybe some bad habits that might have creeped in over time. Everybody's on the same page, talking the same language.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. And I think about one of the things I always preach to operators is, every day you've got to do some sort of learning, right? I always say, you're doing a pre-service meeting, that's the perfect opportunity.
Yes, it is.
Having a video to show, it can help break that up, right? You want to share things and you want to mix up the training and something like that. But being able to pull out a 5 or 8 minute stand-up pre-service meeting saying, hey, let's watch this video on using a chef's knife, or let's watch this video on how to use a fryer properly, or whatever it might be. Now you're getting them engaged. Like you said, the message is the same and it's consistent, and kind of helps you keep that institutional knowledge, if you will, because it's captured there and it's repeatable from the video.
That's exactly right. So, and I'll tell you what we've done. As a matter of fact, we just launched it this week. As a matter of fact, Aaron, is now we have training by job role. So again, utility, prep cook, supervisor, or front of the house. So you got 5 categories right now, and pretty much everybody in your organization falls into one of those five categories. So on day 1, you hire that person, boom, they're into that learning track at that point. And if you see they get through it really quick, well, you know what? Just encourage them to keep going. It's all good. But at least they have the skill sets to do that job and learn it quickly and effectively. That's the other thing, is getting people up to speed quickly, because people, new hires, whether they're experienced or not, it's nerve-wracking sometimes to start a new job. And you don't want to look like the dummy, right? You don't want to be that, you don't want to feel embarrassed because you don't know. Well, you don't have to feel that way anymore now that you have some online learning that you can jump on and take a look at.
Yeah, that's a great segue into one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, was kind of creating customized programs, right? One of the things that I offer in my business is the ability to come in and, customize your training program to your company, your culture, your communities. And employee retention and recruitment is such a huge thing. And kind of what you're talking about with job roles and being able to build something like that, I think falls into that ability to create a custom training program. And so, how do you guys work with companies like mine, Trestle Hospitality Concepts?
Oh, yeah.
To do that with your customers and your operators?
Right. Great question. So clearly we're online, so we don't go on property, whereas a consultant like yourself actually physically goes into an operation. So you have a much different vantage point of that operation than, say, we would. And frankly, a lot of operators, this type of training and this approach to training is fairly new, particularly in the food service arena. And so a lot of operators and even HR departments don't quite know how to get their arms around it, right? Yeah. And so it's really important that what we do is we show operators how to use this as a tool. So a guy like you who's on the ground and you identify the gaps. So you go in, you do an audit as an example, and then you do a gap analysis, and then basically you're saying, here's what you need to learn, or it could be a plan of correction, type of situation if you're in a healthcare situation. So it's like, okay, Mr. Client, here's what I've identified. Here's where you're lacking. You definitely need training, and here are the areas that I identified, and here is Pineapple Academy, and this is what we're going to do to train your staff, and I will help administrate it. I'll help answer the questions, and then I'll come back from time to time to check competencies and all that, and suddenly everybody is elevated from the dishwasher on up to senior management. Everybody gets elevated by this activity because suddenly you have an outside set of eyes and ears managing a process improvement that not only includes your stuff, like it could be menu planning, it could be, you know, management training, whatever else you're doing, but you're also touching from the dishwasher to the cooks to everybody else, the front of the house. So everybody is getting a lift, everybody's getting education, and everybody is now starting to talk the same language and have the same goals and purposes.
Yeah, you know, for me, everything you said makes so much sense, right? Being able to, you know, go into the operation, you know, but be also be able to say, hey, you know, there is baseline training. Like, let's build your onboarding program, and you know, you can't do it all video. That just won't work.
Right.
But having the ability to plug in on day 1 through 7 various levels of video that you can also have them doing work and doing
Yep.
work alongside.
Exactly.
It creates a great complement to that initial training program.
Totally.
And then again, like we were saying earlier, you know, then you have the fallback of I need to continually learn and continually train, because
Right.
I really think that that's probably one of the biggest misses that happen is operators and companies will spend so much time. Well, I did this myself, you know, when I was with an operator, was we would spend hours and hours and hours building that onboarding and that training. And we developed basically a college level course that was our
Right.
onboarding program when it came to management. But then what do you do after that, right? Having
Right.
having a program like Pineapple, being able to get in there and provide that initial support and then the ongoing support, I think it's so valuable. So,
It
um,
really is.
one of the things you mentioned earlier that I wanted to kind of circle back to was you talked about being in a lab with students that
Yeah.
are 18 all the way up to 35 or 40. You know, in the food service world, you walk into that every single day,
Every day.
especially in senior living. You've got
Yeah.
high school age servers and dishwashers, all the
Yeah.
way up to sous chefs and executive chefs and line cooks who've been in the industry for 20, 25, 30 years.
Sure.
So talk to us a little bit about how you guys approach that, the difference
Yeah.
between an 18-year-old learner and a 40-year-old learner.
Right. That's a really great question. So the first thing I would say is that the key to the success of a Pineapple Academy implementation is support from senior management. You have to, the culture of your organization has to be one of employee engagement and really servant leadership, where you understand as a leader, as an owner, or whatever your role is in management, you understand that your sole job is to give the tools to your team so they can do the processes and the work they need to do to create raving customers. So you need to have raving team members so you can get raving customers. I mean, there is that's no secret. I mean, we've heard, you know, Sir Richard Branson has said that, you know, for decades, you know, invest in your people and your people will take care of your customers. Nothing can be more true, particularly in hospitality. You know, it's like you're only as good as your last interaction with a customer. So whether it be the pot washer or the manager, that last interaction with that customer is the image that that customer has about your organization. So think about that. It's not the CEO. It's not anybody really. It's just whoever had the last conversation with an individual person is the impression of your company, right?
Absolutely.
So it's important that we all understand that everybody has a role in this dance that we call food service and hospitality, and everybody is important to it. You can't have a successful kitchen with no pot washers and dishwashers. You cannot have a successful dining room without the busboy or the bartender. You cannot have a successful culinary program without some cooks that have some skills on how to cook food properly.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't happen. And so, so by having leadership engage with, say, middle management or supervisors to really focus on them initially, to say, this is the direction we need to go in. This is what the tools that we need. We recognize that we need to invest into our teams, and we want to do this with our support services, whether it be EVS, food service, whatever. and we want to take this seriously, just like we invest into the doctors and the nurses and the RDs and the people with the graduate degrees and stuff. We have to do the same thing for the line staff. It's a different skill set, but it's still a profession. I mean, I've known professional pot washers that have been professional pot washers for 30 years. They're just phenomenal people and they do a great job, and they've been in the same, organization for 30 years. Same thing. I mean, go to New York City, go see one of the waiters in some of these better restaurants. I mean, these are professional waiters who have done this as a career. Now, unfortunately, in our country, there seems to be a little bit of a misunderstanding what it means to be in service of others. Some people looked at as a weakness, or I'm better than that. To serve others. Well, I have a message for everybody. We're all here on this earth to serve others. So whether that's just what we're here to do, is to help take care of each other. And so it's really important that we invest in our people and we inspire them to it. So once you get that agreement from the supervisors and the management of that department, then we suggest you onboard them first, let them have some wins with Pineapple, and then implement it with everybody, and then use it as an onboarding tool and a carrot to hire people. It's like, hey, we're going to provide you career development opportunities.
Yeah, and I think that piece probably speaks to the older employee more so than maybe that 18 or 19-year-old. They're going to decide what they want to do eventually. But somebody who is, like you said, a hospitality professional, and you say, we're going to develop you as a hospitality professional, basically it's like saying, hey, we have a master class on how to be a hospitality professional if you come work for us.
Right.
So why don't you come here, be a part of our team?
There you go.
That speaks volumes, what you're saying about being able to touch kind of all of the different ages. So
totally correct.
We're kind of coming up on time here, Greg. And
sure.
So anything else you want to add about what Pineapple can offer, anything like that? And also, I'd love for you to leave, let the listeners know how they can get a hold of you or Pineapple Academy.
Sure.
To talk further.
Sure. So a couple of things that I just want to make sure that everybody understands is, the way we look at food service is there's three elements to food service. There are the people, there's the supplies and all the things you need, the food, whatever. And then there's the environment, right? The physical place. And so you can have a lousy looking dining room, but still have great food and service. You can have a okay food, but great service. Where I'm getting to is, at the end of the day, food service is only as good as the people. You can have a gorgeous dining room. You can have beautiful food. But if the staff are not engaged and the staff aren't happy, well, guess what happens to that customer experience? It doesn't matter how beautiful the dining room is. It doesn't matter how nice the food is. If the service isn't good or the servers are crass or don't care, suddenly that experience is very poor. So we have to understand that we have to invest in our people. That the way we used to manage teams when I was coming up is I call it a post-World War II mentality of a top-down management style, which comes from the military. I mean, the military has to run like that. I get it. But out here in the rest of the world, in the public sector, no, not so much. The private sector. So we have to treat people as individuals, understand what their goals are and what their needs are, and treat them no differently than you would anybody else in the organization. Food service staff are not the number on their paycheck or their position on the schedule. They're not a number 9 or whatever. They're individuals and they all have their own needs. And so I really hope to shift the attitudes and viewpoints of management to, when they look at their staff, they see the people and see the value they bring and what benefits those individuals with the right training, the right mentoring and coaching, what they can become. If you're a manager, you got there for a certain reason. You need to create that opportunity to let other people come up through the ranks also and achieve what they want to achieve. And some people want to stay an hourly staff, and that's fine too. But you need to have a positive, good environment for them to be in. And so that's the message I would give to people. Where we're going to go with that is we're providing a new platform that we're going to roll out in early 2023, where we're going to have a whole bunch of content out there. We're going to have the manufacturers bring their stuff in. We're going to have other creators, even like yourself, bring their content in. We want to create an ecosystem and be a hub for the industry where people can not only do training, but can also learn and do research and find tools to improve their organization. So this is all coming in 2023. We're very excited about it. Check us out at pineappleacademy.com. We also have a Facebook page, and we also have a LinkedIn presence as well, Pineapple Academy. So pretty soon, we're also going to be launching a podcast in the beginning of the year as well. I'll just go ahead and plug that here now.
Oh, nice.
So the whole idea is to do a similar thing like you're doing, but really trying to bring best practice to everybody and make them, just make this information readily available so everybody can access it.
Yeah, there can't be too much content. So that's exciting news. And so,
yes.
And all the links to contact you will be in the show notes. And I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited to be working with you guys because I think there's a lot of
same here
potential going forward to just make the industry a better place.
And I appreciate it. And I'll leave you with this. Anybody can go on our website. In the top right-hand corner says free trial. Just click on that button, go in there, and you can see all of our content. You can be on our platform and you can look at anything. The only thing it doesn't happen is until you register and pay for it, it doesn't track what you're doing and give you reports, but you can watch any video that's in there. So please do and have a look.
Yeah, we'll drop a free trial link in the show notes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Use yours.
Absolutely. So, Greg, thanks so much for joining me today here on Tips with Trestle. This has been a great conversation, and I look forward to hopefully chatting with you again in the future about how things are going.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate your time.
So there you have it, another one in the books. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. You can follow or direct message me on LinkedIn, where I'm always commenting and posting about food, hospitality, and leadership for the senior living industry. Or give me a follow on Twitter at ahfish or Instagram at aaronhfish. And check out my company, Trestle Hospitality Concepts, at www.trestlehospitalityconcepts.com. I'm your host, Aaron Fish, and this has been another episode of Tips from Trestle.